to the curve, where ideas take flight, blending tech and teaching.
Well, welcome to this episode of The Learning Curve. I'm so excited that you've joined us here today. It might look a little bit different because we're on Zoom, and that's because we've got an exciting interview that we get to have. And this is occasionally we get to do this. We get to talk to experts in the industry, and we're going to be talking to one of them today. I'm really thrilled. So I'm going to turn it over to Cyndi, and she's going to just kind of launch us into the conversation.
Hey guys, this is Cyndi and I'm really excited to introduce our guest speaker here today. This is Jon Corippo. Jon and I met last fall. He spoke to actually we met last summer. We met last summer when he was here at Region 7, and he came and was presenting some amazing information to our GT teachers. So I quickly got him on board to come and speak to our RLA teachers here at Region 7 in the planning cohort. And the material that he has presented is just so incredible for enlivening classrooms. I think that's the word I want to use. It just wakes them up and shakes it up a little bit. And so whenever Carl and I were talking about who to visit with, I couldn't think of anybody better than Jon Corippo with EduProtocols. So Jon, tell us a little bit about you and EduProtocols and how to get started. What's your elevator pitch for that?
Oh, well, I got about 43 different elevator pitches because I've been doing this since last century. Not that I want to make myself sound old to our Gen Alpha listeners. But one night in around 2000, I was looking at, because we were semi-departmentalized, I was looking at 1,600 pages of packets to grade on a Friday night. And I said, I love teaching. I love working with the human children. I love lesson designing. I was a Palm Pilot 1-to-1 classroom.
Oh.
I've been doing this a while. Some of our listeners might have to Google what is a Palm Pilot. And it was a Friday night. It was about 6:30 and I was not done grading. And I was like, I can't do this for 30 years. This part of the whole show is going to wreck me for a career. And so my actual degree is not liberal studies. My degree is in advertising. And I played a little football at Fresno State, which is a D1 school. And that led to being a graduate assistant for a couple of years. And I said, you know what? I need to take all this teaching business and I need to run it through my advertising D1 football sausage machine and see what comes out the other side. And so that eventually, over a period of it took about 14 years to get all of the pieces perfected. But in the nutshell version of EduProtocols, it's actually a pretty simple concept. A Venn diagram, my friends. What grade level?
Any grade level?
Yeah.
Any grade level?
And what subject matter?
Any.
So that's a framework. So the stuff we do are frameworks, but there's a couple of really important things that I think just make the protocols distinct. One is, how do we give kids immediate feedback? Because any time that they put it in the turn-in box, and let's be honest, they put it in the turn-in box, but they only did one side of the page. Because they just want to be able to tell their parents they turned it in so they can have a big weekend. And then by Tuesday or Wednesday, I've either not graded it and they win. I have graded it with a star or a check mark and they win. Or I ask them to finally complete it and then I lose because now I have makeup work to do. And so that entire cycle of grading papers at home, paragraphs at home, closed tests, it's broken. It is completely broken. And what you'll see, there are hints of this on social media. You'll see teachers saying, these kids are dopamine addicts. No. Look around. Your grandma that played solitaire all week during Thanksgiving break, was she a dopamine addict or did she want feedback? Your uncle who loves bowling for 6 hours on Friday night to try to get to 300, is that a dopamine addict? Or is that a person who wants to improve their score? If you're a golfer, are you a dopamine addict or do you like immediate feedback? Because we keep hitting the ball and thinking it'll go where we want and it does not. But then we hit it again because 1 out of 10 times it might be a good shot. So this is this is a place where education is misunderstanding what kids want. Kids want to see their results. And
Mm.
so, and this is, I want to be clear with this too. We are not anti-paper at EduProtocols, but when the paper results in a packet or a stack of things that will be graded tonight, that is a technical fail
Mm.
for the teacher and the kid. So EduProtocols are frameworks similar to a Venn diagram.
Mhm.
Another point of reference is Kagan structures,
Mhm.
right? Double bubble, think, pair,
Yep.
share, KWL, except we add two things to that. And one is we're comfortable with digital,
Mhm.
and Kagan really doesn't provide how do I do this digitally. And the second piece is we're very prescriptive about how and when the feedback happens. So this is fading me right into a protocol. Most of us know the KWL, correct?
Right.
KWL.
Yeah.
What do you know? What do you want to learn? What did you learn? It's a very valid process, except I'm dealing with fourth graders. They don't know anything about volcanoes, so their questions are horrible. Uh, they
Yeah.
all they did was worksheets, so they didn't learn that much, right? And so the whole thing, the idea is good, but what we do in protocols is called a thin slide. And my favorite way to do that is like in Padlet. So I put the kids into Padlet and I say, this week we're going to be learning about 4 types of volcanoes. I want you guys to do a Google search for
Mm.
types of volcanoes. I want you to put that picture in the Padlet, and then I want you to write a question about what you see or something you want to know. Now we're allowing them basically to open an encyclopedia and look things up before I ask them questions.
Yeah.
Now we only give them 3 minutes, but here's the other switch is who's going to share? Well, now we got the popsicle stick problem, right? So I go,
Yeah.
Cynthia, what do you think? And she's like, I think blah blah blah. And you, Mr. Bone, are saying, oh my God, thank God it wasn't me. Well, in a thin slide, everybody shares, but just for 3 seconds. And there's a couple of reasons. Um, let's say 25 of the answers are kind of boring, but 4 are spectacular. Now the kids are like, ooh, this is cool. So that's one piece. The other piece is there's an accountability. Everybody did do the work. And
Mhm.
then the other one is speaking standards are standards. We just ignore them. Like we love telling kids that this is a standard, you have to know it. But then the speaking standards, we just ignore it because we don't have a framework. So we don't do post-it notes. We don't do that uh, popsicle sticks.
Mhm.
So the idea is we can learn a lot about something in 3 minutes, and then everybody shares. And now the classroom is a buzz. Imagine doing this, Cynthia, on perpendicular with fourth graders. Look up perpendicular. But then when
Yep.
you do your Google search, I want you to search perpendicular in real life. And
Mm.
then you're seeing solar panels and football fields and soccer fields and railroad tracks and telephone poles. Now pick one and tell me how you know it's perpendicular.
Mm.
Just by
That's
doing
good.
that, just
Yeah.
by doing that, I'm now at DOK3 and they're doing most of the lifting. I'm just framing in the question.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
probably the last part of protocols is we de-emphasize teacher talk time, which throws
Mhm.
some people into like existential crisis. But the way I explain it to them is I used to think I needed to be like Robin Williams from Dead Poets Society or Jaime Escalante or
Mhm.
Aaron
Yeah.
Gruel.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I need to have these fantastic lectures and stand on desks and throw away textbooks. And it turns out that nobody cares. So I've
You
recasted
just
my
ruined my whole paradigm for education right
yeah.
here.
Yeah. Well, I've recast myself as Hugh Jackman in The Greatest Showman.
Yeah, that's
He
good.
he doesn't have any actual skills. He goes like this, clowns.
Yeah.
And then he goes, elephants.
Mhm.
He only points you at the good stuff.
Man, that's good.
You see that little shift?
Yeah, that's good.
So and then the other piece is because we're into repetitions is I make that practice quick so I can give them feedback and then we hit it again. There's the football piece. I assume that the first repetition is going to be fairly crappy. I
Mm.
don't blame people when they mess it up. I laugh at them in a loving way. And then I say, oh my God, you guys have no idea. You literally know it. Let's try it again. And I'm going to tell you like one of my first little anecdotes. I travel around. I've been in around 1,000 classrooms in 6 states and 4 countries in the last 3 years. And I
Wow.
don't just visit them, I take them over like some kind of Mary Poppins, nanny swap
Uh-huh.
kind of character.
Mhm.
They don't even know my name. I'm like, okay, here's the link. Let's go. And the kids are like, what are we doing? And I go, do that. It says what to do. And the teacher's like, they don't even know your name. I go, I'm not important. The learning is important.
Mm-hmm.
And so I rolled in on a classroom in Southern California. And bear in mind, this is 3rd grade, y'all. This is 3rd grade. And I gave them a quiz in 99 math on percentages. 3rd grade.
Yeah.
And they were very confident. I go, do you guys know percents? They're like, yes, of course we do. They're trying to look good for the visitor. So I threw them into a quiz in 99 math, which if you guys haven't checked out is really, really cool. And I gave them 1% and 10%. And what's great about 99 math is there's no ducks, there's no gold, there's only the math. And the question would look like this: 1% of 9,000 blank, 1% of 780 blank,
Wow.
10% of 45 blank. You guys, they got 0 right. Now, but it was only 1 minute game. And I laughed. I was like, oh my God. And they're like, why are you laughing so much? And I go, I've never had anybody get a 0 as a whole class before. And they're like, I know, but why are you laughing about it? And I said, because in a few minutes, you're going to be so much better and you will have learned more than any class I've ever worked with. So I showed them after the 1 minute example. I showed them, and you could hear kids. Okay, I talked to a lot of teachers, and if you guys ask teachers why they like teaching, you know what they're going to say over and over again? Light bulb moments. I teach, and I'm waiting for those light bulb moments. I want you to know what it feels like to have 15 out of 30 kids saying, I've got it, over and over again. And you've only been in the classroom for 3 minutes.
Yeah.
And they're spontaneously like, oh, I get it. I get it now. Oh my God, I get it. So I put them right back in the same game, 1 and 10%. And we go from 0 to 47%.
Yeah, that's awesome.
You guys, in 2 minutes.
Yeah, that's
a
fantastic.
1 minute session, I coach, and then a 1 minute session. And then I start laughing again. And they're like, why are you laughing now? And I go, bro, we are going to be at 80% this round because now I'm going to show you the other 2 things you're missing, right? And we're going to start getting the pattern. So in 1% of something, you're going to take away all the zeros. And in 10% of something, you're going to take away 2 of the zeros. And they're like, oh, and then they, oh, I got this. And you guys, I'm not kidding. 3 minutes of instruction. Sorry. 3 minutes of gameplay. 1 minute, 1 minute, 1 minute. About 40 to 50 seconds of feedback between each round. And these 3rd graders went from 0 to 88%. And they were jumping up and down and cheering and saying, can we do that again? So if you want to know what EduProtocols looks like, that's what it looks like. And it doesn't matter what I'm teaching. It could be proper nouns and common nouns. It could be decimals. It doesn't matter. So how's that?
Yeah.
How much is that giving you
That's
some kind
fantastic.
of feel?
That's
I love it.
awesome. One of the questions that we wanted to ask, and you've really started to take us down that path, is, and you've shown this every time I've worked with you, is how do digital tools partner with EduProtocols? And so you've already mentioned 99 math. You know, you're talking feedback. My head's going to Snorkl. That's one of my new favorite tech tools.
I'm big on Snorkl.
Loving Snorkl. But you know, it offers that opportunity to lift some of that for the teacher so that they can get the feedback they need quickly and the teacher can coach them. I love how you use that term coach. So, you know, what else might you want to add about how digital tools work with EduProtocols, or even talk to us about your favorite tech tools? What's out there right now that you highly recommend?
So I'm going to go backwards. In EduProtocols, when we use paper, here's how it ends. We don't put it in the turn-in box. We say, we hold it up and tell me what's your biggest idea, best idea? What's like, so if my kids do a Frayer model on paper, it doesn't end by getting turned in because that signals to the kid that nobody cares. Now it's just a grade. But now I go like this. Here's my Frere model on Hello Kitty. Karopi the frog is my favorite. And the whole class is like, Karopi rocks. Now there's a social construct to the
Mm.
work. And then let's say that Cynthia does nothing. Here's what happens over and over again. On the second round, all the Cynthias get in. You know why? Because they want people to talk
Mm.
about their work too. They don't, I don't have to bully people into working because they feel left out.
Yeah.
And here's my favorite dynamic. Why is it that I know teachers who have been teaching for 20 years that don't know how to solve this problem? But I can go to any science camp in America and a 19-year-old has solved this problem. We don't have detention in science camp.
Yeah.
The kids that are normally off task in class are the best kids at science camp. Tell me I'm wrong.
Mhm.
Why? Because the social construct is different. It's not a punitive based thing. It's a show me something cool thing. So that's really important. So I wanted to start with paper because I don't want people to the impression that it's tech or bust.
Sure.
Right.
Most of the protocols I will start on paper, and then you guys look too young for this, but there used to be a show called Columbo.
Oh,
And
we know Columbo. We're with you.
Peter Falk.
okay.
I mean, come on.
Uh-huh,
Yeah.
Okay,
absolutely.
so what would happen every time is Columbo's talking to the murderer or the suspect, and he's asking all these innocuous questions, and you're like, ask him the hard question, Columbo. And then what's he do? He starts to walk away, and then he goes,
One more
"Oh,
thing.
Yes.
one more thing."
Yes.
I
He
run that routine
reenacted
on
that
kids.
perfectly. It was
Yeah.
spot
Yeah.
on.
I run that on kids all the time. I'll do a protocol on paper for 3 or 4 days, and I'll go, I think we could put this in Canva. And the kids are, oh, Ripple, you're brilliant. Well, I already knew that's where we're going.
Mhm.
But I'll boot up with paper because you don't have to log in.
Right.
There we go. Yeah.
Yeah.
It takes your brain, your energy, all that. Then I'll transition into technology. So, okay, so let's see. Favorite tools. I already mentioned Padlet.
Mhm.
Padlet is a really highly, incredibly underused tool. There's a lot of people that have Padlet,
Yeah.
but they don't know what to do with it. And two of my favorite features on Padlet, one is the AI drawing. So we'll ask kids, ready?
Mhm.
We'll do this. I'll say, create a picture, but you need a proper noun that is pop culture, Kevin Hart, Taylor Swift, The Rock, and you'll need to blend that proper noun with one of our Latin roots for this week,
Mm.
and put Kevin Hart and Taylor Swift enjoying, and then whatever the vocab word is, and then the AI creates that image. And then your job is to write a compound sentence about your
Mhm.
image.
Love
You,
that.
your job is to write a
Mhm.
positive sentence about your image. Your job is to write a complex sentence. And the kids are geeked. Even 7th and 8th graders are like, oh my God, this is amazing. So
Okay.
that's my number one thing in Padlet is the AI drawing feature, which used to be called I Can't Draw, and I loved that name, but I think their
Mhm.
marketing department got to them, so now it's called AI drawing feature. The other thing that I love, and Padlet brought this out maybe a year and a half ago. Did you guys know there's a present mode in Padlet?
I did
No, I did
not.
not. It's been a little while
Exactly
since
my
I've
point.
used it.
So
Yeah.
exactly
Yeah.
my point. So where I'm pointing on my screen in
Mhm.
Padlet, there's an arrow.
Okay.
So this was always my hanging with Padlet is it looks cool, but I end up
Mhm.
with a Pinterest board. I don't know how to
Yeah.
grade that.
Yeah.
I don't know how
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
grade
Yeah.
that. Like, what do I
Yeah.
do with it? It's really cool, but okay, so check this out, you guys. First of all, in the moderation section in Padlet, you can have kids give each other stars for feedback.
Okay.
And the highest rated ones go to the top. So now my
Mhm.
exemplars are going to the
Mhm.
top. Kids can comment on each other's work if I want to turn that on. But right about here on the screen, there's an arrow. It makes all of those slides into an instant slideshow. And now I can go like this.
That's cool.
Student A, let her rip. Student B, let her rip. Student C,
Mhm.
let's go. Student
Mhm.
D, let's go. So now there's the social construct of show
Right.
me what you did. And if
Mhm.
you messed it up, no worries. We're going to do this again tomorrow and the next day and the next day.
Mhm.
And the sooner you get your head around that, the faster things will happen for you in my class.
So what I'm hearing
That's
you
cool.
say is two things for use of some of these, for use of EduProtocols and for use of moving it to digital tech, that really we start in a way that requires minimal lift from kids, like just doing it on paper and learning the procedure. And then once we've got that, then we can move it to digital tools.
Then we pivot, or we start with low cognitive load, and then
Yes.
we pivot
Yeah.
to high
Yeah.
cognitive load, because
Gotcha.
nobody likes to look dumb.
Right.
They don't like to.
Right.
So
Teachers or students.
So we let them
either one.
look silly. We let them look silly,
Mhm.
and then we say, "There we go, Columbo on them. Could we use this for a vocabulary words?" So there's a lot of teachers that will do the get to know you, all about me thing. The problem that I have with that is it's a throwaway assignment, and kids have done it every year, and they know it's a throwaway assignment. So we do a version of that called Thick Slides or Number Mania. And in a thick slide, you have a title, a subtitle, which is a summary, 4 facts, a picture, and then there's a little table where you compare you to another person. But those are all the elements of a spectacular paragraph.
Yeah.
And I'm going to do thick slides 2 to 5 times a week for the whole year. So they associate a creative, pleasurable activity with the name thick slides. So now I can say, hey, we're going to do a thick slide on Caesar. Hey, we're going to do a thick slide on Anne Frank. They already understand the construct. It's like teaching somebody a party game. Nobody wants to play Monopoly with a guy that cleans everybody's clock, right?
Right.
You want to feel like you have a chance.
You're really establishing routines that then you can leverage all year long as you see fit, as fits the learning outcome that you're desiring. Okay.
Right.
You said
and you're building
paragraph,
culture, and you're building resilience and all those as you're going.
because they have to present it, and they're going to get feedback and from their peers.
Right.
It's one of the focuses. Yeah.
Well, because I want to pick up on that real quick. The feedback thing that you were saying at the very beginning, and Cyndi, you just alluded to it again. Really, what you're talking about here, it's not really, and I said break a paradigm earlier, but it's not really breaking it. It's shifting it into a slightly different direction, which is a very
it's
interesting.
almost like redefining, right? So like when I
I
go
like
around
that
all
word.
these schools, I hear principals saying, I want engagement. Well, engagement is not sitting with folded hands watching the teacher. That's not engagement. Engagement means you have no sense of time because you're so engrossed with the work.
And I like how you're leaning into the feedback part of it, because, and Cyndi, you just said this too, it's not necessarily my feedback, it's someone's feedback. It might be my peers, it might be me, it might be if we put your work in the hall, it might be people walking down the hall. It's somebody's feedback. And so that gives it, and this is where I'm going with this, that gives it a real audience, which is a completely transformative way of approaching the assignment. Because when I have a real audience, now it's not just the assignment that I'm going to put in the tray that's going to get tossed, right? It's something
always performing for each other. So to your point, I had a student, because bear in mind, you guys, I taught during COVID. So I was an assistant superintendent. I ran, you guys know what TCEA is. I ran the California equivalent of that. I had a 27,000 member organization, and I fired myself and went back to the classroom, which was hilarious because when I announced it, I was getting all these DMs. Are you okay? Are you okay? I'm like, bro. If Bill Belichick went from the broadcast booth to coaching a team, you would not ask him if he was okay, because coaching a team is the highest level of the profession. I was really purposeful about it because I knew that I wanted to focus on pedagogy for my last 8 or 10 years of my career. And I needed the authenticity to look people in the eye and say, I taught during COVID. And when you guys were yelling learning loss, I doubled my language arts scores. And when you guys were screaming learning loss, I quadrupled my math scores. So now who's going to tell me that I don't know what I'm doing?
Gotcha.
That wasn't even a regular year.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't even get my class till November 1st, organically speaking. and doubled their language arts and quadrupled their math during COVID
Mhm.
when everybody was sitting in little plastic jails and we spent 2 hours a day washing our hands.
Yeah, I
Imagine
remember.
what I
I
could
remember
do
those
in a
days. Yeah.
regular year
Hmm.
with sixth
Hmm.
graders who still cried about long division at Christmas.
Yeah.
Okay, so I forgot what the question was.
Well, what I want to say that you know, in the work that I've had the pleasure of being able, or the learning that I've done, just listening to you speak, there's so many of these protocols that are just plug and play. You learn them and you go, oh
Mhm.
yeah, I can use this in this class. So we kind of a heavy question for you. What's your favorite? What's your favorite
Oh, you
one?
can't ask grandma what her favorite grandbaby
Okay,
is.
what's the
You
first
cannot do that.
one you would tell a teacher who's
Yeah.
trying to move to this feedback
Okay,
oriented? Where would you guide them first?
okay, that I can do.
Okay.
My
So,
favorite
so think.
startup.
Let me interject. Think about that in two different ways: a first-year teacher and a 20-year veteran, and maybe it's the same thing,
It's the
but
same
maybe
thing.
it's not. Okay.
It's the same
Okay.
Okay.
thing.
Okay.
Okay.
Let me use this for an example. If I take you guys on a French cooking tour, and
I
Cynthia's
wish.
never
I wish you would. Yeah.
and Cynthia's never cooked, and you have your own restaurant, we're still going to start with white sauce
Okay.
because the
Okay.
French chef will tell you you're both doing it wrong.
Okay.
So you got to baseline everything. You
Mm-hmm.
got to understand,
Mm-hmm.
and Cynthia, you already mentioned this. You are rewiring your concept of teaching. So it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't matter how experienced you are. And here's a weird but cool fact. We've got about almost 22,000 people in our Facebook group right now. You would think that the EduProtocols Facebook group would be full of young teachers who are looking to
Mhm.
do something. We are 75% of us are between the ages of 45 and 55.
Well,
Right on.
And
Yeah.
that's because
yeah.
they tell us over and over again, I tried everything and nothing
Yeah.
works.
Yeah.
So the young teachers under 30 are still in their God complex years where
Mm.
they're blaming the kids.
Mm.
And that's what the institutions have told them to do, blame the kids.
Mm-hmm.
If you have poor kids, it's their fault. If you have rich kids, it's also their fault.
Mm.
If you have aloof parents, it's their fault. If you have overly involved parents, it's also their fault.
Mm.
It doesn't make any logical sense. And then we tell parents we want you to be involved, except don't ask about grades.
Mm.
So it's all about blaming other people on that kind of stuff. So
So where
here
would
we
you
go.
start them? Where would they
Yeah.
start?
I always start with fast and curious,
Okay.
Okay. Yes.
which is
Mm-hmm.
and again, I have never now I'm going to sound like a safari guy in the wild. I have never seen a teacher spontaneously using quizzes, Quizlet, GimKit, BlueKit, any of those kinds of check for understanding tools. Never once have I spontaneously seen people using them for the maximum benefit. And
Mm.
I'm gonna be a little snarky right now. Here's what I do see. I see people putting in kids in a BlueKit for 15 minutes, and then the
Yeah.
teacher's grading. Just keep playing, you guys. And the kids
Mm-hmm.
aren't playing against each other; they're all playing solo. I
Mm.
have watched teachers that they do the Gim kit. They do it for 10 minutes because that's a default time, and then they never give any feedback and start the lesson.
Mm.
What are the odds that the kids are actually playing if they know nobody's checking the scores?
Right.
I loved whenever you spoke to the RLA teachers last fall, and we talked about using GimKit for Greek and Latin roots, and just that fast and curious of give them one rep, coach them, give them another rep, coach them,
Yep.
and just what a great way, because Greek and Latin roots that can be quite dry.
All right.
That can be
Yeah.
quite So gamifying that was a brilliant idea.
You're actually leading me to another share, which is I see teachers doing these kinds of quizzes as reading comprehension, and that will lead to cheating because
Mm.
they look at the question and they pick the answer. So they're not really reading anything. So we do not use these tools for reading comprehension. We have other protocols for reading comprehension. And so what you're referencing, Cynthia, is called the fast and curious, in which I give the kids the quiz for 3 minutes. And this is very, very particular. Okay. This is very particular how all of this works because um, there are, I heard somebody say this once about landing on an aircraft carrier. They said, it must be scary, Carl. It must be scary landing on aircraft carriers. And they said, no, it's not scary at all. If you do everything correct, you will land.
Yep.
It's just wildly unforgiving.
Right.
But it's not scary.
That's fair.
If you
Yeah,
do
yeah.
everything correctly, you just land.
Yeah.
You want to not do it wrong.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
here's our parameters: 3-minute quiz, 1-minute coach, redo the exact same quiz.
Mhm.
Here's places where people mess up. They do teacher led. No,
Mhm.
no, it's too slow.
Mm.
It's too slow. They do 10-minute game. Too long. Too
Yeah.
long. 5 minutes a day in class is 15 hours a year of instructional time. And I want to put it in this perspective. The average English teacher only has 180 hours for the whole year. You're going to burn 20 hours a year on a warm up that has no outcome besides check mark.
Mm.
That is not a good use of time. And then so it'll be too long, wrong format. I've seen this in Blue Kit and Gimkit. Oh, they love Snowball. They love it. They love Gold Quest. Well, that's because they're not doing any actual work.
Yeah.
You have to play the correct game for the correct time with the correct feedback. So I'll quit with the warm-ups. Basically, I'll use one of my favorite tools. Well, my favorite is Gimkit, but Blue Kit is really good. Quizlet Live is good. There's a lot of good games.
Mhm.
Cynthia, I have a friend in West Virginia. I told her she learned how to do this. We did an event in Ohio. Carl, this is going to blow your mind.
All right.
She said, okay, I'm down. I'm going to do this with Latin roots. How many should I give them? Cynthia, how many do you think I recommended? How many Latin roots on Monday?
Oh, I think it was like 25, 50. It was a big number. It's a big number.
Carl,
Am I
Carl,
wrong?
if I said, let's do Latin roots, what number comes to mind for week 1?
Oh gosh, I was thinking like 5 to 10.
Yeah, no. How about
Yeah.
100? How
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
100?
100. Yes.
I
She
mean, I'm
gave
excited
100.
about
Oh,
that. Yeah, I think that's
oh, and
wonderful.
they're just
Yeah.
blown away.
She gave 100 the first day.
Yeah.
And guess what they got? They got 37% right. And they were super
Mhm.
bummed. She goes, you guys, we are almost halfway done.
Mm.
And it's the first day. She
Mm.
coached them on 8 or 10 that they missed. And then they played again. Boom, right up to 45%. They
Yeah.
played the next day. They played the next day. They played the next day. They played the next day. On Friday, they were 82%. She's texting me, oh my God, we're at 82%.
Yeah,
It's still been 1
that's
week.
amazing. Yeah.
They played for the whole next week. Listen to this dynamic. They were done with Latin roots in 2 weeks.
Mm.
And I'm looking at you as a guy who used to take 25 weeks to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I did that.
Yeah.
25 weeks of grading, 25 weeks of word searches, 25 weeks of sentences. And then I would still end up with a bell curve at the end because
Mm.
only certain kids did the work. So she texts me that next Friday. She's like, we got 93%. And I go, yes, good. She goes, what do we do next week? Give them the next 100.
Mhm.
So over 4 weeks, they did 200 Latin roots. Class average was 93%. And I love 93% because it means at 93%, statistically speaking, you can only have 1 C.
Mhm.
There's no D's or F's, or you won't
Mhm.
get that high.
Mm.
Mhm.
Okay.
Think about it.
Yeah.
But these are the
Yeah.
way
Yeah.
teachers don't think about these
Yeah.
things. They're
Yeah.
like, 84% is great. No, that means you got like 2 F's and 4 D's and 3 C's. No, 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 no. We're going for mastery. And what was the
Yeah.
cutest story is on the next Monday, one of her resource students goes, when do we do the next 100?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And she's like,
Wow.
darling,
They're
there
asking
ain't
for
no
it.
more. There ain't no more.
We did
We
them all.
done. We done. So,
Yeah.
long story short, she lives in West Virginia. There's 26 7th grade classes in her county. Out of the 26 classes in April of this year, she was first and second in iReady.
Mhm.
First and second. And wait for it, she was also 11th and 12th. Okay. So out of all 26, but here's the best part: the number 12 class in the whole county is a full sped class.
Mm.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's great. That is
So
great.
it wasn't just Fast and Curious she was using, but that's where it starts, because if that's the only protocol you do, you have eliminated word searches, you've eliminated crosswords, you've eliminated closed tests.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You can use Fast and Curious for times tables, 50 states.
Mm-hmm.
Here's a great story.
Capitals.
Carl,
Yeah.
you're gonna love
Mhm.
this one. I rolled in on a classroom and I said, "What are you guys getting ready to do next week?" And he goes, "Oh, we're doing the oh, what's the one that starts with We the People?"
The preamble of the Constitution.
The preamble. He goes, "We're
Yeah, yeah.
starting the preamble." Now, what's the preamble usually look like? Okay, everybody, this is
We're going to memorize it. That's what I
we're
had to
gonna
do.
memorize it. You want to
Yeah,
memorize
yeah,
it? It's going to take 4 weeks.
yeah.
Many of you will get an F. It'll be awkward and embarrassing at the end. And I'm going to show you Schoolhouse Rock and songs and all this. Yeah. So I went into GimKit and I looked up preamble, and I'm a good searcher. So I looked down and there's one in there. Listen to this. The last word in each sentence, because I think it's only like 9 sentences. The last word in each
Mhm.
sentence is a fill in the blank. We the, in
Yeah,
order to form,
yeah.
protect and provide for the common.
Yes,
So
that's
this
good.
teacher had just taken the last word in each one and then jumbled them into the answers at random. And it was so hilarious. These kids are sophomores in high school and they're yelling out, "How am I supposed to know this? What is that one?" And I said, "You guys, if you get it wrong, it'll show you the right answer. Just keep repping. Just keep repping."
Mhm.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And within 6 minutes, we went from 37% to 88%.
Yeah, that's amazing.
But wait, there's more. In GimKit, there's a boss battle mode where
Hmm.
one player
Mm.
plays everybody. And I said, "Good, now you're going to play the teacher. And if you
Hmm.
beat him, you're going to have a pizza party on Friday."
Hmm.
They walked in. They were locked in. Let's go. And
That's
in
awesome.
literally, you guys, in under 10 minutes, they all had memorized it. Now, do we still need to teach them the concepts, what the words mean, the historical?
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
But in literally one class period. So that could be your bell ringer all week.
Mhm.
yeah.
Well, and what you're
See the
saying is it goes
shift?
back to you match the tool with the content.
Right.
Right.
You have to look at what are you trying to teach and then what tool actually gets them there.
Mhm,
So,
mhm.
John, how do they go to find? I see you've got your free templates at eduprotocols.com. How do they get to see your amazing genius? How do they get to access some of this?
Oh, well, you could just Google me. I'm pretty all over the internet. So you could just Jon
Mhm.
Corippo Protocols. You'll see dozens and dozens of podcasts and videos.
Mhm.
One of our big concepts is all of our stuff is OER. It's free to use. There are books you could buy, but you do not need to, because I do free lifetime tech support. We have a thing called EduProtocols Plus, which I think this is kind of
Mhm.
cool. It's a one-time price for life. I think it's like $229 forever.
Hmm.
You
Mhm.
only pay once. And then we also do $1,000 a year for schools. So
Hmm.
I actually,
Wow.
if you Google this, the average teacher spends between $50 and $200 a month on TPT. So I tell teachers, no, 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 just make your principal buy all of you guys EduProtocols Plus, and you can quit spending out of
Mhm.
pocket. And then if you go to eduprotocolsplus.com/sampler, there's a whole bunch of free templates and podcasts. Oh, we have a podcast that's free also. And
Yes.
on the podcast, we do one protocol per podcast.
Hmm.
So it's not going to burden somebody with what
Very
is all
good.
of
Yeah.
this. So you
Yeah,
listen to
yeah, yeah.
one podcast, and then we have a real teacher on the podcast saying, "This is how I do it in my class." And then
Wow.
we do events. If you
Hmm.
guys want to come to California, we have our EduProtocols Academy in Laguna Beach every year. And
Cindy,
one
that
of
sounds
our
like a good thing. We need to put in for that. I like
Yeah, I'm
that.
going to put it in the notes and write
Yep.
that
Yeah.
down. Write that down.
One of our
Write that-
biggest problems is that it's right by the beach.
Yeah.
So when the whales are coming through, we have a hard time getting
Oh,
everybody back
wow.
to class.
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And that event has a different flair to it, which is one protocol per session. So you do a
Mhm.
smart start version of it. So you
Mhm.
get the low cog model. We demystify it. This is how you make
Mhm.
it, and here's where it applies. And then we end with an academic version. So you see the
Awesome.
whole story arc for each one.
I love that
And then
transition from learn
Mhm.
it to
Yeah.
now really use it. Yeah,
Right.
Yeah,
And it's
that's good.
hands-on, because in the end, if you don't do the thing, you're just a visitor.
absolutely
Right.
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 Well,
You
and
have
you're
to
going to
do
be
the
back
thing.
here in East
Yes.
Texas in July. John
Yeah.
will be one of our keynote will be the keynote speaker here at the Illuminate conference, which is the curriculum
And
conference at
breakouts.
Region 7. And then he'll do breakouts. And that's where I got to know John was here, and his sessions are an absolute blast. I have to tell you, one of my favorite things that you haven't talked about yet is random emoji generator.
Yes.
For the paragraph maker. Oh my goodness. So
So
much fun to do with teachers and kids. It's one of my favorites. It gets people writing in a fun, creative way for feedback, and they can go and edit again. I just think it's a fabulous idea.
And that's another good starter. So here's the starters. Fast and Curious is a pretty good one. Thin Slides is a pretty good one.
Mhm.
But there's one we do called Random Emoji Power Paragraph, Carl, and it's a passive aggressive dig at the hamburger.
Okay.
The paragraph,
And
the 5
and people,
paragraph.
you guys, people that are listening, people will fight me on this. They will literally say, these kids need to be doing hamburger paragraphs. So these are the same kids that are making very effective TikToks. And you're asking them to write firstly, secondly, thirdly, as one can see the end. You're asking them to do that in 4th grade and in 5th grade and in 6th grade. I've seen them being done by sophomores in high school. Now, there's nothing wrong with the hamburger on its own, but there's a point where you're like, dude, I think we've done enough of these. So if I wanted to do hamburger paragraph stuff, watch what I would do, Cynthia. I would start off, I would find a booklet or a GIM kit that had all the elements of a paragraph. And we would just memorize the vocabulary, so there's no actual writing. Then
Low
I would
cognitive load, low risk. That's what I hear you saying. Yeah,
because they've seen it, but I'm just going to warm up their brains, not by talking, but by making them work and then beating their butts in the game. That makes it personal. Then I'm going to open up Padlet and I'm going to say, let's write a crappy hamburger paragraph. Make it as bad as you can. You know why? Teenagers love breaking rules. So I'm going to say, write the worst hamburger you can. Make it as cliche, ugly stereotype as possible. Now I have taken all of that prior learning for 4th to 6th grade and I'm activating it in a way that's personal. Then I'm going to show you people how to really write, because that's not what we do. In fact, Cynthia, you'll love this. I got to redo this year. Carl, I asked everybody to recap their weekend in the hamburger paragraph format.
All right.
So, hello, my name is John. I'm going to tell you about my weekend. Firstly, I slept in on Saturday.
Terrible.
Secondly, I did the laundry. I hate doing the laundry. Thirdly, I took my wife out to dinner and the food was not very good. I hope you like listening to my Saturday. The end. But now, when you clown something like that, the insanity in the classroom suddenly makes sense, right? So, in the random emoji generator, which if you guys want to put in your show notes, you go to eduprotocols.com/class, and I paid a programmer to make a random generator for us. And so we took out, and if you teach middle school or up, you'll know what I'm talking about. No eggplant, no water drops, no peach, no taco. We took out all of that kind of stuff. We did leave the poo. The poo is still there. And so, Carl, what I do with kids is I'll give them one sentence. And I usually use, and this is a good transition, Cynthia. I used to use
trying to find it online so I can show the audience.
I just pulled it up too.
eduprotocols.com/class. And then what we do is we give the kids one sentence and I tell them, whatever this emoji is going to be the theme for your next 4 sentences. Okay. And I don't tell them to write a catchy lead, because every catchy lead I've ever seen taught is not catchy. Would you like to know about? Did you know? Have you ever wondered? Those aren't catchy leads. Those are not catchy. Those are cliches. So there's a generator. I'll do one live right now. Cynthia, click on main idea.
So you just tell me.
I'm going to demo
Okay,
for you, Carl.
I love to animate the emojis, so I'm going to animate it because that's just fun.
So,
okay, here we go. Main
here's
idea.
She's only going to click on one. So go main idea. Oh, you can look at your Easter egg. Oh my gosh. Okay. Who doesn't look like fireworks? Next emoji. I used to ride my bike by myself to the 4th of July fireworks show when I was growing up. And it was the smell. I love that gunpowder smell. It makes me go, And I would laugh and laugh when my friend would light firecrackers off in his hand. We laughed at him so hard, but he wasn't hurt. And I also remember that the fireworks scared the dogs and they would be running around all crazy.
Mm.
Boom,
Mhm.
boom. So what we're teaching kids how to do is pursue an idea, Carl.
Yeah,
Pursuing an idea is way more important than memorizing a formula.
and that's good.
And so I can easily get a whole class of 5th graders to say, read mine,
Mm-hmm.
read mine, read mine,
Yeah.
read mine.
Mhm.
And we used to collect them in Socrative, which is great because in Socrative they can
Mhm.
write. And then when I hit start vote, they can read everybody's. And watch how
Mhm.
cool this is, Carl. If I got 30 kids and they all write a paragraph, all of my kids just read 30 paragraphs.
Yeah. Yep.
Mhm. And voted on which one they liked the best.
Yes.
And then I
Yeah.
read a few.
Mhm.
And then we do another and another. I went to a 7th grade teacher one time and she said, what are we going to be doing this afternoon? I just started like this. I'm going to get your kids to write 3 paragraphs in under 15 minutes. And she literally did this. And I was like, you just did that to my face. And she goes, that's because I'm sorry, but that is so unbelievable that you could do that.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
That makes me think you could use, you suggested Socrative. You could also use myshortanswer.com
Yep.
and feed it in
Mhm.
there. And then you could have them, you could begin to build skills over
That's
time,
exactly what I thought.
right?
Yeah.
And get
Yeah.
feedback on skills.
Or we will write, or
Mhm. Yep.
and I like short answer, and then also Snorkel or Class Companion.
Yes.
Yep.
So now they're getting live specific
Mhm.
feedback in addition to this, right? And it's just spectacular. Now, here's where I got to go anti-establishment. There's this lady last name Calkins,
Mm.
and she did this thing called workshop model. And we
Mhm.
have somehow come away with the idea that kids are supposed to write 1 paragraph a week. A week? And then I'm supposed to take them all home and grade them.
Yeah.
You guys know the workshop model.
Mhm.
So in that workshop model, the kids are going to be doing 1 paragraph a week. In my model, we're going to be doing 3 a day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Getting that feedback. Now you said Snorkel and another one. What was the other tool that you
Something
used?
companion.
Class Companion. Yeah,
Class
Class
Companion.
Companion.
Okay, I'm writing that down too. Gonna
So-
check that one out.
Here's what's neato about Class Companion. The kids go in, the interface is pretty, I would say, straight ahead. You can give them a block of text or a PDF or a
Mhm.
picture, right? It's pretty, and then what they do is pretty straight ahead. They answer by writing. But what's spectacular about it, I was talking to a friend of mine just last night. She's like, oh, all these kids copied on AI, and I'm using Brisk to find out which one's cheated and all this stuff. And I go,
Mhm.
sister, you could have done all that in Class Companion. Ready for this? Class Companion does not allow copy paste.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
nice.
So they're stuck in my world.
Mhm.
And when they write,
Mhm.
when they hit submit, Cynthia, they can submit up to 6 times.
Mhm.
Okay, do they get feedback as they submit or?
Hold your questions, please.
Oh,
I set how many times, so I can say it's Friday. You get 1 shot.
Mhm.
This is the big show, 1 shot. Or I could say it's Monday. Nobody cares. Submit as many times as you want. And to your point, Cynthia,
Mhm.
when they hit submit, they get this. They get 1 block of text that discusses their theme. They get 1 block of text that discusses, did they answer the question?
Mm.
They get 1 block of text
Okay.
that says grammar conventions. They
Mhm.
get another block that says creative word use. So they get like 6 of these boxes that I can customize. And
Okay,
then
that
when
was
you
my
roll,
question. Yeah.
when you roll over the box, it highlights it in your writing.
Okay.
Nice.
When you roll over the box, it highlights it in your writing.
Mhm.
So it's very much akin to Snorkel, which I also dearly love, except
Mhm.
there's no spoken element and there's
Hmm.
no
Okay.
drawing element, right? But
Okay.
it's really cool for what it
We'll need to
is.
check that out.
It is
Yeah,
spectacular.
I pulled it up while you're talking. I like that.
And
a
then
lot.
you can literally set it up where kids, instead of, I was at a teacher's desk on Friday, and he had they were doing a thing about Walt Whitman, and it was like early years, and then first book, second book, legacy. He had broken it all down, and they were filling that out on paper, and I was like, bro, you put that in class companion, self-correcting.
Mm-hmm.
And you can give them one paragraph at a time. So the first paragraph could be, click on this link, write several facts about Walt Whitman's childhood.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next task is 1B. And 1B is write about his early efforts at publishing, or when he broke away from the mainstream, like what made Walt Whitman, right? So you can chunk it all out. It's not just one text box.
Mm-hmm.
It's really, really cool.
That's
And
cool.
we just keep coming back and around to that timely feedback is so
Yes.
essential for the growth of kids, and talking about how these EduProtocols that you have generated and formed, and these tools that we're choosing to use are giving that feedback, so that the onus is not just on the teacher to grade and give it back, but the kids get that immediately so they can fix it
Right.
then and not live in that mistake or keep waiting, but and then they've moved on. Yeah, that's great.
It anchors them in the moment, and it keeps me out of the menial stuff. Like, would you please write 2 more sentences? Could you put your name on your paper? Why is your pencil broken again?
Love that. Yeah.
You elevate yourself to kind of the Gandalf role, right?
Yeah.
Gandalf doesn't tell Frodo how to do everything. He
Yeah.
just tell him what he needs to do.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
so the AI becomes the challenger instead of me being the challenger. So it completely changes the classroom dynamic.
Okay.
Yeah.
But that's another great one to start with, because what kids need to write better paragraphs? Pretty much everybody. So literally you just project 5 emoji one at a time and say to the kids, develop a theme,
Such a good
be
tool.
creative. And
Yes,
now
that's
class
so
companion,
great.
boom,
Yeah.
he grades it for you.
Awesome.
That's wonderful.
All right. So to wrap us up, and I think this will kind of culminate everything together. In your headspace, John, if you are creating a new EduProtocol and you know you've generated genius in like 1 or 2 sentences, what is it going to do? What shows you that it's done its job?
The first thing is, it's got to be fun.
Okay.
Yep.
Love that.
It's got to be fun. If they don't want to do it, then it's just a worksheet.
Yeah.
The second thing is, when we plan, and Carl, this is gonna be mind blowing. You guys have seen this. You go to math teachers and you say, "What standard are you on?" And they're like, "Oh, we're on our 3rd standard." It's November. You got 200 standards. Well, we really want to think deeply and focus. Well, you're going to leave 180 standards on the table at this point, right? So the next big element, the first big element's got to have a far out element. So we have people sharing us protocols. I got an idea for a protocol, and then I put on my Joe Dirt hat and I say, "Where's the fun part?"
Yeah.
Because if there's not a meme or a GIF or something far out, it's not going to hold their attention.
You're not going to get buy-in.
No.
Right.
The next thing is it cross-subject compatible? Could I do this in social studies and English and math? And to be fair, math and science have a few protocols that are specific because they're slightly different animals that way. But if I can't use it in multiple subjects, it still slides over to worksheet/activity. And then the last part that's really going to blow your mind, Carl, is our goal is 12 to 15 standards in one sitting.
Okay.
You know why? If I have 200 standards, I only need 12 protocols.
Yeah.
Think about that. Because I cannot go through the year with 180 worksheets and 180 EL versions, 100 GATE versions, 180 people who moved from Hungarian versions, and then my teachers pay teachers versions, and then the ones my friends like to do. It's too much clutter. I need typically in a classroom, I only need 6 to 10 protocols to get me through most of the year. I will have some that come and go because I need to keep it fresh. But think how much less prep I have. I mean, it's a lot less prep.
Yeah, if you're only
which
talking about
means
12, yeah, that's great.
that gives me a lot more creative headspace to actually be engaged in the moment.
Right.
Plus, for the kids, they just get faster and faster and faster. So sometimes on a protocol, the first time we do it might take 30 or 40 minutes, but by the fifth or the sixth repetition, they're down to like 7 minutes and they're doing 12 protocols. I mean, 12 standards. Boom, 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 boom.
Well, and I want to go back to that 12
But we're
standards.
never
12
rushing.
standards. Yeah. I mean, when
And that's
you've
the
got
key
so
is
many process standards that you're placing in these things, and you're pulling
Mhm.
together content in application, not in isolation. And so it's going to work. It would work.
Mhm. Yep.
All right. Okay. Well, we are really thankful that you were here today, but
Yes.
we have one more fun thing to do. Are you ready for just
I
a
love
little
it.
fun?
I love it.
All right. So we want to ask you a couple of would you rather questions.
Yes.
Oh, I like
Okay.
these.
Yeah. Okay. So would you rather always have a brilliant idea at 3 a.m. or forget your best idea 5 minutes after thinking it?
Oh, yeah, I'm going to go 3 a.m. because that's an actual lifestyle.
Amen. Same here. That or in the shower. Yeah.
Getting into the shower, exiting
Yes.
the shower, 40% of my content is like, oh my God, you know what we could do?
That's it. So that brain space finally like opens up. Absolutely. Okay. Would you rather only be able to podcast while walking on a treadmill or while wearing a ridiculous costume?
That's another hard one. I think ridiculous costume.
Oh,
Okay.
I think that's the one I would go with too.
See, I would go on the treadmill because I'm not really a costume guy. I'm like, we can just have a conversation while we're walking. That's fine with me. So,
Mhm. So to that point, Carl, one time in college, we a bunch of my football playing friends and I were going. Fresno's pretty hot. It's like Texas hot in the summer, and we tried to go to one of the local drinking establishments, and they tossed us out because we were wearing tank tops. It
mhm.
was unacceptable.
Oh,
Unacceptable. So my dorm room was only like 300 yards away, so I had the whole offensive line with me, and then me, I'm like 5'6". We went to my house. I gave everybody a Hawaiian shirt, which had a collar and
yep.
sleeves, and a goofy hat, and we went back in like that. And I was like,
Nice.
"Yay, yay
I
for
like
your
your
dress
style.
code!" Because you got
Yeah.
a bunch of weird guys in Hawaiian shirts wearing like Russian fur hat and baseball helmets. Yeah. Love your dress code, guys.
Yes.
You did
I
not
love
stop
it.
us
Yes.
at all. So yeah, I'm gonna go with weird outfit.
Okay. All right.
I
Last
love it.
one. Would you rather have a rewind button or a pause button for life?
Ooh,
I think pause because
Oh, me too.
I love
Yeah.
savoring moments.
I agree
Mhm.
with that. Yeah.
I love to
Absolutely.
savor a moment, and so like if I can pause things and like just soak it up for a while.
Mhm.
Um, I live my life pretty much in the ether, so I don't feel a big need to review. It's
Mm.
not a big push for me.
Yeah,
Like I'm
absolutely.
trying to be grateful for every moment, even when it's bad. I tell
I
my
love
wife all
that.
the
That's
time,
good
remember,
perspective.
Yeah.
these
That's
are the good old
Uh-huh.
days. These are the good
yeah.
old days. Right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
Someday we're going to call these the good old days. So remember that.
That's good. That's good. All
I tell the
right.
kids in class too.
Yeah.
When you're hating me right now, remember, in 20 years, you're going to tell me, Krupo, remember how fun your class was? And I'm going to say, remember the day that I
Yeah.
told you you would say this? I got a time machine, bro.
That's good. But
Yeah.
John,
And I'll
thanks.
leave you guys with one more little
Yeah.
inspirational thought
Please,
for
please do.
anybody
Please do.
that might still be listening. When I went back to teach sixth grade after being out of the classroom for about 8 years, I was a 25-year teacher as a first-year teacher.
Mm.
And about 15 minutes into the class, I told the kids, you realize that 20 years from now, we'll still be friends.
Mm.
I'm going to
Love
come
that.
around the corner at Target and you're going to introduce me to your kids.
Mhm.
You're going to call me. You're going to ask me, I'm getting ready to buy a house. How should my mortgage work? You're going to call me and say, I just got into college. Which MacBook should I buy? These things will happen. And I'm going to treat you guys with the respect of a 20-year relationship, not with the respect of a 180-day relationship.
Mm.
And I will marry several of you because I've done it and I'm not a
Mhm.
preacher. and I've adopted one of you. So when I say this is a thing, I am not kidding.
Yeah.
And that changed the way my whole class felt for the whole
Yeah.
year.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
And I also told
So
them I have plenty of friends, so I'm not being a creeper here. I'm not cruising for
absolutely.
friends.
Yes.
But when
Yeah.
you hang out together with someone for 180 days, there are certain
Yeah.
natural human reactions.
I've had the privilege, I've gotten to actually marry three sets of former students, which has
Mhm.
just been such an honor
Mhm.
for me to be able to do.
Yeah.
Really, really cool. I love it.
And I used to, there was the song, it was a Santana song with, I can't remember the singer. It was a little bit of this, a little bit of that. And, yeah. And I had this two seventh grade, this boy and girl that bickered all the time. And one day I put that song on and I go, you guys are going to get married. And they're like, yeah. And about 5 years ago, they sent me an ultrasound of their kid.
Nice.
Oh,
Yes.
And they're
yay.
like, you called it. I was like,
Yeah. That's awesome.
it's my jam, bro.
That's awesome.
That's great.
Yeah. But John, thank you so much. This has just been a
Mhm.
delight for me. I've been looking forward to this for however long, a week or so, however long it's been since we first were able to connect with you. And that, I mean, really has. It's been a pleasure and a delight for me. And I'm sure that it has for everybody who's listened as well. And I'm just so thankful for the work that you're doing. I'm thankful for your willingness to challenge perhaps the standard paradigm and the norm, and maybe just to push back against that some. And I think that you're right that
Yeah.
we can engage students wherever they are and whatever they're doing, and it doesn't matter their background. They're still people, and we can engage them
Right.
because people like to socialize. They like that
It's
that
we
conversation.
live in a humanity-based business, and we
Yeah,
keep trying to
yeah,
ignore that at our peril.
man, and that's so
And just
good.
think about it this way. And I know there's people that like Applebee's, but if every restaurant was Applebee's,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
at some point we need restaurants that are food trucks
right.
and ice houses and dive bars and
Yeah,
taco trucks. And my vision would be that every classroom has that cool, funky vibe that this is my
man, that's good.
place.
That's
And I
good.
know how to do what I'm doing. And I can run the cash register and I can hire people and I can design the menu and I can go to the store and I can clean the stove. This is my place. I got this.
Yeah,
And
that's
we
good.
got teachers that don't think that way. They think,
Right.
I'm waiting for the district to tell us what we're doing about SEL.
Yeah,
I'm waiting for the district to tell us about assessment. I don't wait. I know
yeah,
exactly what we're doing.
Awesome.
yeah. I love that. I love that. Well, Cyndi, do you have any closing words as we kind of wrap this up today?
No, it's just been an absolute privilege to have John here today. Thanks for sharing your excitement and your energy and your enthusiasm and your wisdom. We appreciate it. And we can't wait to see you back here in July. We hope everybody comes to see you in person, and we just pack this place out because EduProtocols is, I think you said earlier, it's moving into a grassroots phase. It's going to be
Yeah,
just as
we're
widespread
kind of
as Kagan and
building.
everybody else. And so we
Yeah,
want to
yeah,
make
yeah.
sure our East Texas regions know all about this because it is impactful work. And we really can't wait for people to learn from you here in Region 7, John. Thank you so
Absolutely.
And
much.
last summer, I met a guy in Leander, Texas, who's a
Uh-huh.
teacher, and we've stayed in contact. He emails me, texts me once or twice a week. He's going to drive to Dallas and pick me up at the airport to take me to you guys.
No
Oh, wow.
way. That's
That is
Yeah, so it's a
fantastic.
Edu road trip. He's like, when are
Uh-huh.
you going to be in Texas again? I go, July. And he goes, ooh, that's pretty far away from me. I said, pick me up in Dallas. We'll road trip. So I'm going to cover his hotel room and he's going to come and hang out.
That's cool.
How
Well, we'll
cool is
look
that?
forward to seeing you
That
and
is really
to
cool.
meeting him. All
Yeah.
right. Well, thank you again, John. Really
You
appreciate
bet.
it. Have a great
Yes,
day
thank
out
you
there
so
in
much.
California, and we'll see you in a few months.
All right.
Right on. Super excited.
And that's a wrap on the first season of The Learning Curve. Thanks so much for joining us this year as we've explored different digital tools, different offline strategies, different ways of thinking about pedagogy, different ways of perhaps bringing in some new strategies into your classroom. We've got to talk to some really interesting personalities. We've got to explore some cool concepts and ideas. You've gotten to meet the entire digital learning team this year. We have some really, really cool ideas coming up for season 2 on The Learning Curve, and we hope that you will join us as we start back up in the fall of 2025. and just getting to sit down and talk. And we've got some new interviews coming up that we're excited about, and some new tools that we're going to get to share with you as well. And so as we continue in this work of education, as we continue to work to enlighten students, to open their minds, to explore new ways of thinking about things and new ways of encountering ideas, stick with it. You're doing a wonderful job, and we're so grateful that you are a teacher. We're so grateful that you are pouring your life into other people. And we hope that you come back and join us. So on behalf of the entire digital learning team, my name is Carl Moan, and we look forward to seeing you next season. Thanks for joining us.
Welcome to the curve, where ideas take flight.